Great day, great day, great day. It's me, and happy YouTube day. We're going 18 weeks strong. This is episode 18. I gotta get this up off of me. So instead of me waiting to go into the house and use these microphones been supposed to use, I'm going to go ahead and get this up off of me. So I gave you guys a choice of two topics, and I got, a lot of positive feedback, but I decided just to go to one that just kind of resonated in this moment, which was uncomfortable conversations. So let's talk about it. All right. Uncomfortable conversations are necessary, especially when building healthy connections and healthy relationships. Healthy, uncomfortable conversations, first let's talk about it. So why do people not want to have uncomfortable conversations? I'm going to speak from experiences. Speak from my experience. Y'all bear with me. I just got a treatment. So we're going to just take our time. All right? All right. So a lot of the reasons why some people don't want to have uncomfortable conversations is because a lot of the times uncomfortable conversations bring about accountability, right? But it's not even the accountability aspect. It's the aspect of having to face what you have to be accountable for. A lot of times I've avoided uncomfortable conversations because I didn't want to face me. A lot of times it was because I didn't want to admit that I was wrong. So I just held on to this. They did this to me. I know they got me messed up. They not finna do me like that. So I would hold on to it, and I would always project it on. I would project and gaslight to make it seem like you hurt me so bad, so that's why I did what I did, and it's so many different aspects in accountability, and I have learned to find safety in my accountability. We'll talk about that later. But back to it, right? So a lot of the times it's having to face self and admit that, we did something to hurt someone that we really said that we loved. And what I'm learning, we'll get to that point in a minute. So, excuse me, kind of jumping ahead. It's the Baptist in me. Sorry. So, let Kojic Russell take over. So, a lot of the times it was about the accountability aspect and having to face myself, because I hate being wrong. With me, I've learned, I have to be right. What I also learned was I had to stop putting myself in circumstances where I had to be wrong. We'll talk about that at another time, so let's stay focused. I keep forgetting. A lot of the times with accountability, you have to really admit, also face that there's some things that you have to work on, and it forces you to, it goes back to facing traumas and going down and reaching down in places that a lot of people don't want to go back to, like facing accountability and facing your part in that, and it will cause you to go down a rabbit hole, thus leading to you having to face your real issue, which is you. Sucks, doesn't it? I know. Yeah. But what I've learned is uncomfortable conversations have brought out the best version of me. It forced me to face myself as well as face areas that I had to work on. And uncomfortable conversations can save relationships. Think about it like this. You got a couple, right? They're walking around and they're the husband and the wife, they really aren't dealing with each other, and they need to have an uncomfortable conversation, which is facing that they are not happy. And sometimes it's facing that uncomfortable conversation of they don't make me happy, or I'm not happy. It's just like we go in this spiral of unnecessary emotions instead of saying, hey, I'm not happy, you're not happy. Let's figure out why we aren't happy so we can fix things. People get scared of uncomfortable conversations, but they don't seem to see that it can help. It's uncomfortable conversations have saved so many of my friendships. Like, I was in a relationship, I wasn't happy, my partner wasn't happy, and I'll let you know they cheated. We're not going to go there. But it was just one of those things where, you know, neither of us wanted to face what the problem was, you know, thus him leading to cheat and me staying somewhere I really didn't want to be, you know. And instead of us facing the uncomfortable parts of our relationship and actually talking about it and learning to either properly fix it, or what's the word I'm looking for, or to part ways amicably, it caused us to do things and say things. That's when, like, we couldn't, because like when you don't have these uncomfortable conversations, they will just build this cluster. Excuse me, I'm sorry for those I'm sorry for those of you who don't like cussing, but I have to explain it like this. Like, it creates a clusterfuck of foolishness. And now you have a bigger problem that you have to figure out how to pull yourself out of, but you can't, because it's so much shit that you have to wade through, like, to get to the actual problem, that you just sit there, you just can't. So you just go off, the other person goes off, everybody's like screaming out their feelings, but nobody's hearing each other because everybody is so hurt. But what could have prevented this becoming what it was, you could have just had an uncomfortable conversation. Uncomfortable conversation can bring comfort. It can bring comfort. Like, for instance, you know, I talk about my health status, and it's like I'm just starting to talk about it openly with everybody, as far as, like, you know, this platform, those who've known me for a while. But anybody I've ever been involved with, I've always had that uncomfortable conversation. And I had this uncomfortable conversation because if I would have gotten the courtesy of the uncomfortable conversation, I wouldn't be forced to have these now uncomfortable conversations. And even when having those conversations, I give the person the option, either, you know, we can be cool, you can go on about your business, or it's something that, you know, we can work through together. And I've always given people those options because it's the right thing to do. So I don't have to deal with the discomfort of having to sit in a lie. Uncomfortable conversations prevent having to sit in the discomfort of a lie. Like, no matter how much you try to sit there and say, like, I'm doing this for the other person, or I don't want to hurt their feelings, you're sitting in a lie. So just being honest and saying, this is how I feel, this is where I'm at. Like, give the person the opportunity to either care about your feelings or piss on them. Like, I'm gonna break this down to you. Any person, all right? Any person that is willing to sit there and they really do love you and care about you and they support you, like, they're willing to sit through that uncomfortable conversation, understanding that in order for us to stay connected, in order for me to stay in your life, you to stay in mine, we have to sit there. And again, before this becomes a big, like I said, clusterfuck, we're able to sit there and deal with this shit while it's small, before it becomes something big, before it becomes something bigger that we can't come back from. Because now I'm sitting there, I'm 7, 8, 9, 10 years in something with someone that really doesn't want to be around me. Or they're not telling me the truth and they're sticking around in a place they really don't want to be. So now I'm offended because now I'm questioning the validity of everything that's ever been said, instead of just having the uncomfortable conversation. I can respect a person for being honest. I can respect a person for sitting there saying, hey, like, Russ, like, I have to say this to you because I don't want to hurt you, but I'd rather hurt you with the truth than a lie. Thus, we're able to figure out a common ground so we can move forward. So we can decide we're going to stick this stick this stuff out, or, go our separate ways without having to carry a bunch of drama and stuff that follows behind it. I've had to have some uncomfortable conversations. One of the biggest uncomfortable conversations I've ever had to have was to tell a person, listen, I can't do this. I can't stick around. I love you to death, but I love you enough to not sit around and hate you. Because that's what it's going to turn into. Yes, it hurt me to hurt the other person, but in that uncomfortable conversation, that person was able to be free from a lie. And I wasn't going to have to live with the fact that I was keeping them hostage unknowingly in a lie. Making it feel like, Russ is there for me. Russell has my back when Russell didn't want to be there. Russell wanted to be elsewhere. Russell wanted to see what else was out there for Russell. So I had to let them go because I couldn't keep them hostage. That wasn't fair to them. It sucks. It sucked, but it was for the best for everybody involved. I've had to do that with friendships. I stayed in a friendship so long with somebody, and I knew that because, even though they say, you want to be in a relationship with someone that's equally yoked and not to be unequally yoked, that goes for friendships too. Another topic for another day. But I had a friend, and I kept them around. This happened recently. I kept them around longer than what they needed to be around. And I knew, listen, we're not on the same wavelength, but I stayed around because I'm like, all right. And I even psyched myself out. I stayed past the assignment. I knew this person wasn't my assignment, but I'm just like, I couldn't just plant the seed and go. So I stayed past the point of expiration to the point to where it caused me to where I wanted to put hands on the person. And it was like, Russell, can't get mad at them for being them when you stayed longer than you were supposed to. So now y'all have this big blow up. They feeling some kind of way. I'm feeling some kind of way. And I get to when I get to a point with a person, it's either fight or flight. And sometimes I get to the point where it's fight or fight, But if I would have just had an honest conversation or the uncomfortable conversation with them, let's go a step further. If I would have had the uncomfortable conversation with myself, I would have dealt with the root problem, which was me getting tired of having people walk in and out of my life. My therapist and I, we have uncomfortable conversations in every single session. And some topics I get emotional. Some of them make me angry. And internally, I don't express my anger, even though it's an open space. But it's like, I'd be like, damn, she was right. Because a lot of the issues that I've had was facing me. And having the necessary, and it's crazy because we talk about this in every session. It's like, why don't you say this? I didn't want to hurt their feelings. Russell, you're hurting you. And then trying to figure out, Russell, why don't you want to hurt you? Why are you willing to sacrifice yourself and how you feel to keep them around? Thus, having uncomfortable conversations in therapy, having uncomfortable conversations with myself, and it is not saying I'm talking to myself, but it's saying having the uncomfortable conversation to get to the root of why I was allowing certain things to happen. Uncomfortable conversations tend to make you face you. Something to think about, isn't it? And I am grateful for the uncomfortable conversations that led to accountability, that led to truth, that kept some people and that removed some people. Uncomfortable conversations did me a lot of big favors. I think about it like this. If I would have had an uncomfortable conversation with my ex, And really got to the to where I was keeping that nigga around because I didn't want to be by myself. And I let the nigga treat me any way he wanted to. I didn't want to be by myself. I wouldn't have sat there and had, by the time, again, everything killed over and it was a big blowout, I wouldn't have wanted to hurt myself in the end. If I would have had the uncomfortable conversation, I wouldn't have had to sit in the discomfort of laying next to somebody that I knew I wasn't supposed to be with. Take it how you want. And that applies for relationships. A lot of people are laying next to people they really don't want to be with. Fear of, well, I just can't leave them. Well, what are they going to do? Or I don't want to be without them. Or I don't want to go through this again. But you want to suffer. You want to suffer for the sake of one, having somebody and not having to deal with the fact of being alone. But ask yourself, why can't I be alone? Have that uncomfortable conversation with you in the inner you that says, I have to have somebody. Or when you stay in situations because you don't want to worry about what other people think or what other people say. To hell with those people. To hell with them. I'm sorry. And sometimes to hell with the other person in the situation. Because at the end of the day, what it boils down to, I'm doing us a favor. I'm saving me from having hatred in my heart from the person I say on the daily that I love. And I'm saving that person from when it all does come to light. I'm saving them from having to feel anger and animosity towards me and hate me for some shit that could have been eliminated by just having the conversation. I told you guys, we saved on here, but we cuss. It's the Baptist in me, you know? But sometimes it requires you to use weekend words to understand how serious this stuff is. Like, it's time out. It's time out for us to be staying in situations and relationships and friendships and connections that we know don't serve us no purpose. Or staying in situations or not having conversations and we're trying to save the situation by not hurting feelings, but in reality having the uncomfortable conversation could save the connection, because then you and that person know where you guys stand and you know how to proceed and move forward. You can sit there and say, you know what, there's something I can work on to save this connection. Or to be like, no, can't do this. You want me to stop doing this? You want me to do this? No, I don't want to do it. I'm sorry. A lot of y'all stay in relationship with folks that are unsaved. In order to say you got someone, and this is for my ladies, y'all are staying in a relationship with men that you know aren't listen, him seeing you go to church every Sunday is not going to change him. You got to have the uncomfortable conversation, sit there and say, hey, this is the life that I live. I live my life for God. And in order for us to make this work, I need you to live for him, for yourself. And another thing, take a little deeper. A lot of y'all are sitting there saying that y'all are following God because y'all want to, and you're following God because you're scared that person's going to leave you. Baby, follow for yourself. Follow for yourself. You understand? Follow for yourself. You know, it's one of those things where they say if you lead, they will follow. Break it down. If you follow Christ properly, you can lead others to follow Christ on their own, because they'll want to find out for themselves and not to keep you. Baby, if you think by sitting there no, put your foot down. I had to learn this. I had to say, you know what? I got tired of having to, I didn't want to have to explain God to another person or my gift to another person. So it forced me to have uncomfortable conversations. No, I'm not going to sit there and miss church because we stayed the night and you want me to stay longer. No, I'm finna get my butt up and go to church where I'm supposed to be. Stop compromising yourself. Stop, and you compromise yourself when you don't have that uncomfortable conversation. So free yourself from the lie. Free yourself from the lie, because anything not built on truth is not going to last. I've had some very uncomfortable conversations the last couple of months. And I remember I had one conversation, and in the end, I was nervous, but the response was, thank you for being transparent. And if that didn't make me feel more secure in that friendship, then, and now realizing what a lot of us want, and a lot of us need, our safety and our connections. And uncomfortable conversations built on honesty and truth create safety in those connections and conversations. All right, so that was just something to drop in with you guys. I love you all. Thank you guys for watching. That was a lot, and I gotta go decompress and get my mind together, because that was a lot to share. And I've even had some uncomfortable conversations with a person who's just like, I'm done. But I was like, all right, I'd rather lose them with the truth than keep them with a lie. You know? Yes, it hurt, but sitting in a lie, that hurts more, because you have to wake up in it. You have to sleep in it. You got to walk through the day carrying it. And that is a heavy fucking load to carry. And nobody should have to do that, you know? So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm at 31 subscribers, trying to get to 40 by this weekend. I mean, hey, I hope I get there. If not, I'm grateful for the new ones that have followed. I have had an increase by maybe like 8 or 9 in the last couple of weeks, and I am beyond grateful. So thank you guys for following my journey. Thank you for sitting there, trusting me to spend some little long time with me, just you and I. And like I say, listen, you like, subscribe. Like I said, you do what you do best. I'm gonna do what I do best. You like, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. And I'm gonna keep giving you guys great topics and great content. I am really exhausted, y'all. I'm not even gonna front. My ass is dog tired, and I'm about to get in this house. Like, I was supposed to record with my microphones, but I'm gonna save that for next week, because I am recording when I'm out of town. So I love you all. I will see you all. I might see you guys next week. I don't know. I have to decide. I know I am going to be recording, but we'll see what happens. But I love you all. Thank you for following episode 18, one and done. And I will see you all later.